Well, they sent me more, so I might as well talk about them. And I am a wee bit late with this one. Sorry, I've been distracted with, something. So, the set of expansions for Heroscape this time around includes 3 common army expansions, a terrain set, a bonus figure, and what they refer to as a boss expansion. Something new for once. So the boss expansion gives us the ending to the storyline started by this 2-player starter set that I went over the first time, where the pirates turned out to be at the command of the first Valkyrie, Thormund. Here he is as what, if I recall correctly, is the first time that a Valkyrie, the big leaders of the major factions, has come in a playable form. And he is powerful. In another video, I talked about turn fixers, that being units who can give a turn to a fellow unit when they get activated. Well, Tormund has this ability too, but importantly, he gives these extra turns in the form of command markers. The only downside to this ability is that you cannot put a command marker on a hero if a hero of that affiliation already has one. So you can't just slap him into your typical single affiliation army, but any army that uses a different identifier, one that appears across multiple factions, such as ninja, soldier, or of course pirate, they can make very good use of Tormund. The other unit in this box, the Kraken, is an army card that's designed to snowball, with its various teleporting tentacles appearing whenever a unique hero is activated, up to 5 in total, and it can always choose to take a turn for itself, meaning it can gobble up any turn created by a turn fixer. That's something I like about a lot of these sets, is that they're designed for the characters inside to work together. The coolest thing about this set, though, is that it comes with a scenario. Remember how in my previous video I recommended that every single one of these expansion sets, whether they be terrain or army-based, should come with some kind of scenario? Well, here it is! Literally exactly what I'm talking about! This scenario forms the finale of the storyline that started with the Battle of the Wellspring set, combining that little starter set with the master set for a big final battle featuring the boss in the form of Tormund, who gets his own special boss card in this scenario.
Yeah, it's quite the sprawling epic, this boss battle. In fact, it uses most of the components from both the master set and the 2-player starter set. In fact, it takes less time to show off the pieces that this arrangement didn't use.
Although speaking of the master set, I actually have one now, and I have a treat planned later, so keep watching. Oh, and also like and subscribe, the algorithm likes it when you say that. Next, we have our common army sets, which actually get increasingly experimental and interesting the further we go. Starting off with Revna's Revenants, which includes a squad and a common hero. The idea is that Revna's Revenants are a turn-fixing squad that can damage the unit they give a turn to in order to let it roll an additional attack die. It's an ability that's designed to work with this Cronenbergian abomination, which gets stronger when damaged and can heal itself when it defeats an enemy model for a bit of anti-army power. A bit obvious and straightforward in my opinion. Up next, we have the Scoredire Soldier set, where this green squad uses their turn-fixing abilities to control a little army of bugs, each of which has a unique property, though that makes army building these bugs a bit of a pain. You only get one of each of these bugs, so if you want to get another copy of this one bug, you, I guess, have to buy another copy of the set? Seems a bit counterproductive. Thankfully, our final entry, the upgraded Nanotech Reavers, has the most experimental approach and probably the best set design period. Rather than 2 different units combined to work together, you get the same squad twice. Nice, now you can run them as a combined squad. However, this box also includes little upgrade pieces that can be attached onto these characters, turning them into one of 3 common hero characters with new special abilities who can activate alongside this squad with, you guessed it, their turn-fixing ability. And should this hero go down, then a member of the squad can quite literally pick up the pieces, taking on the abilities of that hero for the rest of the game. And I gotta admit, I am a sucker for gimmicks like this, where you can sort of WYSIWYG and swap around the individual characters in order to fit what they want to do. It's sort of the first time I've ever seen something on the level of War Gear appear in this game, and I honestly think it's neat. It's a great throwback to the more interactive forms of miniature gaming. And yes, I did say it has a turn-fixing ability, and that turn-fixing ability isn't just limited to the Reavers, you can use it on other hero units as well, which, in this case, would be the bonus model Agent Carr, who has made friends with the freaky rat thing from the original Heroscape to create a menace that's designed to run around the battlefield causing havoc. This character, despite costing 130 points, has a 1 in 4 chance to remove an opponent's command marker entirely at every activation, making this guy a shoo-in to accept any sort of bonus turn, such as the ones that the Reavers can make. But then there's the terrain set, and here I think they might have flown a little too close to the sun. What we have here is the Shores of Valhalla set, and while the planks, ladders, and cannons all have special rules as terrain pieces, it is my humble opinion that $85 is a big ask for a terrain set that, at the end of the day, comes with no scenario and includes only 24 hexes worth of terrain. The same as one of these big plates. I mean, I guess it's meant to be like a cool centerpiece that the various characters all climb on and fight over, but even the only scenario to use the shipwreck currently only uses it as sort of a bulwark on one side of the map. Honestly, it feels like the big, heavy, full vinyl shipwreck parts are dragging down these cool ideas into the abyss with it, especially, again, without a scenario to highlight what they can do. If it were up to me, honestly, I would include rules that make the decking a destructible object so you can blow holes in the ship as part of combat, making explosive attacks especially dangerous. Maybe if the set or any kind of scenario with it included some kind of treasure that the armies are fighting to take control of. Like I said, the Torment scenario is exactly the sort of thing I am asking for in these sets, especially with this asking price. I think it's fine to build scenarios on the expectation that the people buying the expansions own a copy of the master set already, as there is literally a disclaimer on every single box, so building a scenario around the ownership of the master set is not out of line. Although, wait, speaking of the master set, didn't I say there was a surprise? Well, spoiler alert, I'm currently working on another video where I am making a version of the Gundam Assemble miniatures game that can use just the regular model kits, so the obvious question looms. Can you build the Gundam Assemble starter set map using just the parts from the Age of Annihilation master set? The answer, it turns out, is yes. You can even make the platforms a swanky double height to more closely resemble the terrain in the box. And it's remarkably easy. So first you take all of the 24 plates and make a pair of rectangles. 2 pure grass rectangles that look like this with kind of jagged edges, and 2 half grass, half rock panels that look a bit more streamlined. Connect them in a circle like so, keeping the rock parts out on the corners to give us a nice looking valley. Use the 2 grass singletons to fill out these little divots in the corners and put the sand 7 hex in the middle. I know there are gaps, don't worry about it, I will deal with those. Next, we make the centerpiece. This is going to use all of your 3 hex pieces and most of your 7 hex pieces. Create this shape with 2 grass 7s and 2 grass 3s with 2 rock 2s. Next, make this shape again, replacing the 2s with a singleton, rock, and sand tiles. Sand is going to act as our objective markers. Stack your remaining rock 7 on top of your remaining sand 7 to create the crown of the mountain. All you have to do now is create all of the 2 hex and 1 hex risers that populate the rest of the boards. And while I do run out of single space pieces towards the end, and while it does wind up using basically every single piece in the box, it's good enough to work. Set the remaining sand tiles as objectives, and you're good to go. Give the red players the damage counters and glyphs, and the blue players the command markers and water tiles to mark their bastions and territories, and then all you need are a few 10-sided dice and the Gundams themselves, and you're ready to play. Yeah, if you own the Heroscape Master Set, then you already have the map for Gundam Assemble, all in swanky plastic. It's not perfect, but it's close enough, and you even get this full plastic board to boot. Even 1 or 2 expansions opens up the ability to enhance this setup even further, letting you increase the height of the platforms even more and make sure that you have everything filled out. So if you, like me, were suckered into buying the Gundams out of the starter deck specials because we thought that's how cheap the game was going to be, guess what? Now you can play the game. So, this one was a set of ups and downs. I love how we're finally getting sets that include scenarios with them out of the gate that aren't 2-player starter sets. Another game I've talked about before, Crossmaster, also had a feature where every single product, even the individual singleton character figures, come with some kind of miniature scenarios, and I really hope we see more of these, not just the 1 per month we get on lawn. I don't expect the ones that are included in the box to be the highest effort. I mean, I concocted a little adventure for Dungeons & Dragons Onslaught in about an hour that worked really well with what was provided, but we see plenty of creativity in the individual and combined mechanics for the little army figures. I'd like to see it more with scenarios too. I do like how they focus on having the groups interact in these boxes, but in the case of the insect one, again, they made army building a bit painful. However, like the Necrotech box, it looks like several upcoming Armory boxes are just the same squad twice, so people can get the most out of their points by using the combined common units. Nice! So that's the latest wave of Heroscape that landed on my doorstep. I'm still working on that Gundam Assemble video, and maybe at some point we'll get back to card games. Remember card games? Crazy. Until next time, this is Kodak signing off.